Hey, we're cooking with gas here on the Jewcast.
Okay, careful using a phrase like that.
This trial is a travesty. It's a travesty of a mockery, of a sham, of a mockery, of a travesty, of two mockeries, of a sham.
Tradition!
Oh, shut up, Carl! Shut your goddamn Jew mouth! You people are why there's war in the Middle East!
Gekakken auf ein Jahr.
Nebbech.
Ver poo-poo-poo.
Vermischt.
Verkackt.
Vertutzt.
Verstonken.
Farted.
Exactly.
You're what Grammy Hall would call a real Jew.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Episode 93 of American.
Oh, my God. It's a miracle we've been doing the podcast for this long.
I know. Can you believe it? And a happy Hanukkah to you, Jonathan.
And a happy Hanukkah to you, Jordan.
Yeah. Happy Chaka Khan, everybody. Chaka Khan.
We are recording this. Tonight is the first night of Hanukkah. It's a very fun Jewish holiday, one of the happier ones.
It's like one of the few that doesn't have so much suffering in it.
It's a winter holiday. The Greeks, they didn't like the Jews, you know, and they wanted to try to change the Jews, convert them, have them be more involved in the Greek ways and the ways of the Jewish people. And there was a fight.
Yep.
And the Jews won, the Maccabees.
Yeah, the Maccabees, baby. Try to drive them out, but no. We stuck around. We defended the temple. We
defended the temple, and then we kind of dedicated the temple because I guess we got the power back of the temple. Now we're going to Jew this temple back up. And there was oil, and the oil lasted. There was only enough oil for one night, but it lasted 8 nights.
Right.
That's kind of the story of Hanukkah. By the way, I was thinking about this earlier. You know, could this have been like a Santa Claus situation? Like the head rabbi was in the middle of the night, he would go and he would refill the oil, and it's hey, you know, they'll never know. And now we have this whole thing because they just wanted to be oh, we need to keep spirits up. We just beat the Greeks. It was a hard fight, and now we got to try to do this. So maybe the Maccabees were doing that.
It does sound like it could be somewhat calculated in that way. I've always talked about how, Hanukkah is like the weed holiday for the Jews. It's the one holiday where we eat fried food. We're gambling with chocolate. It's definitely for stoners. And
yeah, you're supposed to eat the fried food in oil because of the oil that lasted.
But
So, okay, go on. I'm sorry to interrupt you. So, yeah, it's stoners because we're eating that kind of food?
And I just feel the one night's worth of oil that lasts 8 days, that just sounds like an inventory problem to me, I mean, somebody didn't really know how much oil really one night lasts. When you're smoking that much weed, you can forget about what ounce
So there's actually enough oil, but they thought it was less because they were stoned.
Because they were burning the midnight oil prior to that. I don't know. These are stoner theories of mine.
This is a very interesting theory that you have, Jordan.
These are half theories and half bits from my act from Days of Yore.
Well, Hanukkah is the festival of lights. So, you could spark it up as kind of like a light. The Hebrew word Hanukkah means dedication. Because we rededicated the holy temple. I
mean, I just find it interesting that we can't even agree on how to spell Hanukkah. Is it with a CH? Are there 2 N's? There's 3 different spellings that are accepted.
Yeah, I think it's hey, listen, if you're going to celebrate it, spell it however you want. I mean, I don't think Judah the Maccabee would have been God damn it, spell this right. So we do eat oily food, fried foods.
Yeah,
the latke is the most popular. The potato pancake.
Yep, potato latke is coming at me tonight. My mom's going to make them.
Oh, man, I'm jealous. I was just doing some research of where I should go in the city to get some. I was debating between Katz's Deli, Russ and Daughters, Volseka, or Yonah Schimmel's Knisht. They make a nice one. Too many choices. Maybe I'll have to go on a latke tasting spree or something. And I want to get a sufganiyot, a donut.
Right, you're all about the donut, jelly-filled donut,
so
right?
Jordan doesn't know a lot about the donuts, but I was actually reading up about the donuts, which is another very popular food on Hanukkah. And I was reading that what happened was a labor union in Israel, even before it was Israel, in the 1920s, they wanted to create more work for the people. So they started to push the sufganiyot, the donut, instead of the latke. And then people were making these donuts days, weeks before Hanukkah. They were selling a lot more. It was creating a lot of jobs. And now, at this point in Israel, more people eat sufganiyot on Hanukkah than people fast on Yom Kippur.
Wow.
So it almost has like a little like Christmas Santa. They made him up to sell Coca-Cola. They created all these things that, giving out presents to like help the economy. And I guess Sufganiyot Jews, we have a little bit of that too. They kind of just made this donut to eat the donuts because they wanted to create more jobs and opportunities and work for the people. So jelly is the traditional, but I was looking at a bakery not far from me, apparently an Israeli bakery, and they have dulce de leche, and they have all these different flavors, banana pecan, Sufganiyot. So I might go there and check it out.
And they're kosher.
I just say Hanukkah. It's like Jewish Christmas.
Well, they say that. They say it's Jewish Christmas, but but it's actually not. I mean, it just happens to fall near Christmas, so that Jewish kids, call it Jewish Christmas, so they feel less left out of the.
But it's also like the Festival of Lights, and Christmas has a very Festival of Lights kind of thing, and there's also gifts exchange, so there's a lot of similarities.
Yes.
And while, Christmas is the birthday of Jesus, who was a Jew, go us. Hanukkah wasn't the birthday of anybody, but one could argue, they retook over the Beis Hamikdash, the Holy Temple, and it was kind of like a rebirth of the Holy Temple for the Jewish people.
Yeah, so get out there and eat your donuts and enjoy your latkes.
Eat your donuts and latkes and light some candles.
Play some dreidel. You got a dreidel there?
I got a dreidel right here. And by the way, when Jordan lights his menorah, he takes the shamash, which is like the one that you're supposed to light all the other candles with, and then he lights a joint with it too, because that's how he started with. So first he'll light the first night, and then he'll light the joint.
Exactly. I like to have some fragrant herbs.
So, yeah, we hope everybody has a good, Hanukkah or Hanukkah, whichever you want to say. We don't care. We won't judge. I like to Hanukkah just to show how Jewish I am.
Happy Hanukkah.
Of course, this is a tough year. A lot of people won't be celebrating all together with their families because of the vid, which unfortunately has lasted a lot longer than 8 days. But, we hope everybody has a happy Hanukkah. It's nice tradition to spend with your family if you're able to fry up some potatoes, eat some donuts, play some dreidel. The dreidel, it's like a Jewish top. And apparently the Jews would play it. They would be like studying Torah. And then I guess the Syrian Greeks, whatever, they would come and they weren't allowed to study Torah. So they would like quickly put away their books and take out their dreidel and play the dreidel.
We're not studying. We're gambling.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before. It's a 4-sided spinning top. They have the Hebrew letters Nun, Gimel, Hey, and Shin, which apparently is an acronym, and it means a great miracle happened there. And it's played for like a pot of coins or nuts or stuff. And apparently, before gifts, people used to give each other Hanukkah gelt. You would get money for Hanukkah as like a reward for your devotion to studying Torah. And sometimes they would give it to kids and they would be able to give it to charity, tzedakah. And now, of course, they have these little chocolate covered in tinfoil things that are very popular during Hanukkah time, for the Jewish people.
Right, the Jewish coins.
The Jew coins, which I don't know if Jews should be having Jew coins, chocolate, part of our holidays with all the stereotypes that we have. But you got to take the Hanukkah gelt when you can.
Exactly. When the aliens come, they'll feel like chocolate is our main form of currency.
That's right. They might.
If they come during Hanukkah.
They're already here.
Apparently so. That's what I read.
Not too surprised that maybe aliens do exist. Not too surprised that they would come out this year. It's been such a strange year.
The guy that said it is this guy Chaim Esham.
Yeah, he's Israel's former space security chief.
He said that if he had come out and said these things 5 years ago, that they would have put him in a mental institution. But I'm guessing because of all the crazy shit that's happened in 2020, it's kind of par for the course.
Yeah, I don't know, but I also think like this state. Listen, people believe that there are cannibal lizard people that are sucking the blood of children, and only Donald Trump could stop them. So aliens aren't really that far off. Honestly, I think if there are aliens, I think people would just be like, "Oh my God, they're aliens," and then they'll just be like, "Whatever." Apparently, the aliens they've been around for a while. A big hole in this story for me was that they say Trump knew about he knows about the aliens, and he was going to tell everybody, but then they convinced him not to, because that's just fucking bullshit. Trump just says whatever craziness, and he's not like holding back.
Trump does not hold on. Yeah, Trump does not hold back from sharing things that only he knows. He's like, if he knew, he would definitely be rubbing it in our faces a bit more. Right?
He'd be like, the aliens have been voting. They're illegal votes from aliens from Mars, and that's why Biden won the election.
But it also doesn't make sense that, like, the aliens would tell Trump, listen, don't tell people about us because we don't want to freak people out. But this Jewish guy's like, you know what, I'm about to die anyway, so I'm going to let everybody know now.
It's like, people got to know. I know that apparently the aliens don't want us to know because we're going to freak out. I mean, I don't know about that. By the way, they're part of an intergalactic space federation is what the guy was claiming. Like, that's some straight up Star Trek shit.
Yeah. They've got like a base hidden deep inside Mars, apparently,
where aliens and humans have been working together, like a fucking Men in Black headquarters or something.
Yeah, it's one of those stories that you like to see, these kinds of stories in the news, because it makes the rest of the shit that we're going through feel a little bit more normal.
Right, and I mean, it's easy to say, "Oh, this guy's just a nutcase," but apparently this is like a serious guy,
and he's up there.
He was in charge of like a very big military space program. He says not all governments know, but of course America knows, and Russia and Japan and the British and the Chinese and Israel, and they're all coordinating with this galactic federation.
It's hard to take it seriously, but it's fun to see it in the news at all.
I mean, apparently they prevented the Soviet Union from striking back against the United States with a nuclear weapon with the Bay of Pigs. So they've been around for a long time. This guy claims that the aliens are tracking all nuclear activity on the Earth, and they want to prevent any nuclear wars from happening. And he said that the government's made a deal with the aliens not to tell anybody that the aliens exist, and the aliens gave them technology. So there's not a lot of evidence, but it's interesting. This guy, he is Israeli, so that's one reason why we're talking about it on the podcast. But, he said that similar talks with the U.S. government happened in August when the Navy apparently released what they called UFOs, pictures of UFOs.
Who knows? Maybe they're in charge of these monoliths that are showing up all over the world.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? So I don't know. Maybe we'll find out that the aliens before the end of the year, the new year, that there are aliens. It'd be interesting. I wonder what they would think about Israel. I wonder what they would think about Jews if the aliens would be Jews. Could we convert an alien to Judaism?
It's a good question.
Would alien Jews get more? They'd get so much more hatred. I mean, maybe we need aliens so they could unite the humans against the aliens, and we could stop seeing so much division amongst ourselves. Right. And it would just be now we could all join together to hate something else, because apparently we have to hate things.
Yeah, exactly. Once the aliens come, there won't be any more anti-Semitism, because it's going to be the alien plot to take over everything that we need to unify against.
It's crazy that we got to hate anybody. Yeah. And you were mentioning more hate that was happening.
The only Anne Frank memorial in America, it's in Idaho, was defaced this week.
I guess it wasn't hiding very well.
No. They've got statues of Anne Frank, at this memorial, and they were defaced with stickers of the swastika with the phrase "We are everywhere," sort of all over the.
Okay, so are the Jews.
Yeah, if we were in Idaho, for sure.
Right. I mean, I was like, oh, this week we're not gonna have anything really bad to say. It's Hanukkah. We're gonna keep it upbeat, aliens, woo, sci-fi episode. But then, unfortunately, Jordan, you told me right when we started that this happened. Of course, Anne Frank is a very popular figure historical figure when it comes to Judaism, when it comes to the Holocaust. For those that are haven't been paying any attention to lots of the world, it's the story of Anne Frank and her family. They lived in the Netherlands. They were Jews during World War II. They had to hide in an attic. She kept a diary. The diary was released years later by her father. Unfortunately, she was murdered in the Holocaust. Lots of schools, they make kids read it for good Holocaust awareness. She is kind of a young Jewish hero, and this is horrible that to deface a statue of hers. I'm like, part of me is like, oh, well, at least it wasn't another Jewish cemetery, but still, come on, what is wrong with people?
I mean, I, to be perfectly honest, also, I'm not sure what Anne Frank Memorial is doing in Idaho. Are there Jews in Idaho?
Is there an Anne Frank museum there?
Yeah,
because I've been to the Anne Frank Museum in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I've been there as well. The Wasmuth Center for Human Rights, which oversees it's a memorial in Boise, Idaho. It's named for Bill Wasmuth, a Catholic priest who fought white supremacists in Idaho. In '86, members of the Aryan nations attempted to kill him by bombing his house, but he died in 2002 of ALS. White
supremacists are the worst.
I find that really interesting that he was a Catholic priest that saw such a problem with anti-Semitism that he's like, ooh, the Jews are going to need our help with this. We can't have this happening.
I mean, it's good.
It is interesting that
glad we had him on our side.
And it is interesting that this happened in Idaho on the eve of Hanukkah. Maybe these people are really just advocating for the potatoes.
Oh, you think they are doing more work? Maybe there's more potatoes being sold to make the latkes, so they would be happier with the Jews.
Right. We are everywhere. Thank you for the work.
Maybe we should boycott latkes this year and everybody eat sufganiyot to be like, hey, Idaho, if you're going to do that to an Anne Frank statue, I mean, fuck off doing that to an Anne Frank. I don't know. That pisses me off.
Oh, Boise.
Well, oh, hey. Well, I mean, we hope everybody has a very beautiful Hanukkah. We're excited to have our guest today, comedian Graham Kay.
Very excited.
Great guy.
Funny guy.
We're really thrilled to have him on the show. He's not Jewish, but he has a very interesting connection to Judaism that we will discuss when he comes on the show. He's been on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He's been on a ton of Canadian comedy shows because he is a neighbor from the north, but he is a hilarious comedian and a super awesome guy.
Yeah.
And I'm so psyched he's going to be on the show today.
Me too. Let's get Graham in here.
I'm ready, baby.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, boy. So excited to have our good friend and comedian and Canadian Graham Kay on the show, everybody. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. It has been an honor and a privilege, and I've always wanted to be chosen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're honorarily chosen by us.
Yeah.
We're psyched to have you. We're not discriminating against you, Graham, because you're not a Jew. You're a friend to all Jews.
It's been I always wanted to be Jewish growing up. I mean, it's obviously a very there's a period where I wanted to be black, but then you find out about the world. But I always thought it was cool. I always liked. I think because my mother learned English from Jewish people, she has these mannerisms, and she has just a lot of words, a lot of Jewish words that I just thought were common, and I just there's a sensibility which I feel comfortable around, I guess.
All right.
Okay. And you're a comedian too. That's a lot of Jewish comedies going on.
Yeah.
What are the Jewish words that you thought were common?
Well, schmutz was the biggest one.
Oh, that's a good one.
All right. Get that schmutz off your face, Graham.
Yeah. Tchotchkes.
Okay.
And schmuck. And
so all the fun Yiddish words.
Yeah, she said fakachta a couple times, which I thought was such a good one.
That's a great one.
Yeah, but she would every 20 to 50 words she says in a very Jewishy accent, She sounds like she's like in a tenement somewhere. She'll be like, Graham, go over there and turn down the stereo. I'm like, the stereo? What? It's a goddamn stereo, Mom.
Why did your mom learn English from Jewish people?
She's a refugee from former Czechoslovakia after the Soviets took over and killed all my grandfather's, the remainder of his friends, and then they fled to Canada, and they settled in a like 1-bedroom basement apartment in Sandy Hill, Ottawa. Sandy Hill is a Jewish neighborhood in Ottawa. I guess my grandpa liked all like the Eastern European foods they had there. He was like, this makes sense. I understand this. So
okay, yeah, all right. We love those Jewish foods ourselves.
Pickled fish. He's like, this feels like home.
Bring on the herring.
Yeah.
Well, happy Hanukkah to you, Graham. Did you know that today is the first night of Hanukkah?
I did know, and happy Hanukkah to you both. I don't celebrate it or support it, but no, I'm kidding.
There should have been only one night's worth of oil.
Yeah. You always want more, don't you?
Yeah.
So what? Just curious, as a non-Jew, what do you know about Hanukkah?
Well, I know that it made me jealous of a girl in my class when I was a kid who was Jewish and got all these presents early, and a lot of presents. I know that the oil lasted for 12 days when it was only supposed to last for one, and it's saved everybody.
12 days.
8 nights.
8 nights. I always think there's more. Yeah, okay,
12,
only
12 days of Christmas. I think.
That's right. I'm trying to appropriate. I'm trying to gentrify your holiday.
Yeah, no, the Jews, we only get 8. You know, it's a prorated number.
Yeah, right. Well, I know the oil lasted longer, and I guess that was good. It saved you somehow. I also know that it is not one of the biggest holidays, but you know, culturally had to battle Christmas, so turned it into something big,
right?
For the kids.
It's only not that big of a holiday because I feel like there's not as much suffering involved in the story as some of the other Jewish holidays.
Right, it's happy. Yeah, right. That's hilarious. Yeah. It's like, what's this? This is better than expected.
I mean, it's not so happy. It's still like Jews are persecuted for being Jews, but it has a happier ending, I guess.
Right.
Yeah. And they give gifts. What was your first experience with like Jews? Did you like become aware of like there were people that had different religion and they were Jewish? And
I think that's one of the benefits of growing up in a city. I grew up downtown in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. And it's not a huge city. It's about 1 million people. But still, it was, like, important to sort of – like, I remember being in grade 1. So what is that? In America, that's called first grade. I just want to translate my different culture to you. I think – what are you, like, 6? So when I was, like, 6, I was, like – there was, like – teacher was like, you know, there's 2 people in this class, and they don't celebrate Christmas. And we were like, what? Can you swear? I was like, what the hell is going on? Dear Lord. I wasn't like heathens. I was like, I felt sad and sorry for them. I was like, it's Christmas. You don't get, oh my God, these poor people. And my teacher was like, no, they like it. I was like, they like it.
Haven't the Jews gone through enough? Can't we give them Christmas?
Yeah. And then it was explained to me that they get presents each day, I guess for 8 days instead of 12. And I just was like, okay, well, you get a lot more presents. That's good. You're guaranteed 8 presents. And I was always thinking in my head, I was like, you know, sometimes Dad doesn't have a good year. We don't get a lot of presents. How, you hedge your bets. I mean, it's a bird in hand. You know what I mean? So 8's pretty good. That's a lot of presents. I was always like trying to always figure out in my head what's better, getting 8 presents or just waiting and seeing what you get on Christmas. But then I found out that a lot of the presents, like you get like two big ones, and then you get like a bunch of gold coins and crap or something.
Yeah, socks. Depends on how well up your family is.
You
ever date a Jewish girl, Graham?
My first serious girlfriend, and we were not engaged, but we were thinking about it. I'll say her name. Who cares? Her name, Davida Aronovich.
Oh, very Jewish.
Very Jewish.
Yeah.
Double dose of Jewish on the first and last name.
Yes. It's an absolute home run. And I think I was 20 when I met her and probably 22 when we broke up. Her mother was like, you got to marry a Jew. No, but marry for love. No, you got to marry a Jew. You have kind of back and forth.
Which is, again, very Jewish.
Yeah. And I was there. I remember being I was just standing, okay.
Awkward dinner, family dinner.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in Godfather Part 2 where he's telling all right, you're going to have to tell this guy Merle, I don't know what he does. You're just going to tell him you're not going to see him anymore. Trust me, he'll understand. And he's sitting right there.
Yeah. Hey.
So having a Jewish girl being your first major girlfriend and then dating other women of other religions, did you feel like there was a big difference between Jewish women and non-Jewish women?
Well, I only have one example. So, I'm going to draw all my stereotypes from one person, which is the best way to do it.
Totally very American of you, not Canadian, by the way.
Well, she was extremely good at arguing. And it was, all women are, but she was, her mother was a lawyer, a judge, and her brother, Benji, was,
I like how you Benji, also quite a Jewish name.
Yeah.
Checking on the Jew.
Yeah. I just wanted to get that out there. And he was
and her dad was a menorah, actually.
Yes. He was very popular around this time of year.
Just lit up a room.
Yeah. I wasn't allowed to light him on fire because that would be considered a hate crime. But everyone else. Anyway, her brother was also studying to be a lawyer, and so maybe that just sort of ran in the family, or I don't know. But there was always there's a big push for education in her house, and not just getting an undergrad, being something big and important, and a lot of pressure on her part, I think, that she felt, which is, I don't know, I think Jewish families and Asian families have maybe similar pressure from their parents. And there was a lot of, I guess, whinging, a lot of complaining, which I come from a complaining family, so I didn't really think anything of it.
I never heard that phrase, whinging.
Yeah, never heard that.
Yeah, I guess it's it's more of a British term, but
okay.
It means kvetching.
Yeah.
Graham,
it means kvetching.
Have you ever witnessed people being anti-Semitic towards Jews?
When I got sent to a boot camp in high school, and for the last year of high school, and this was in a town of 300 in Saskatchewan. So I had to take a plane there, and it's basically north of North Dakota, 2 hours north of North Dakota in Saskatchewan, and a bunch of farm people. And there was one guy at this boot camp. I don't know why he was there. He's from LA, some Jewish kid. And he was the only Jewish guy there. I was one of the only kids from a city. And this Jewish kid was from LA, and people were if they, he was, first of all, he was a fucking asshole. This kid was a dumbass, but people would just be super racist to him. And I just remember being you guys, you can't say that. And they'd be whoa. I'm yes. Yes, he is an idiot, but you can't. And they just couldn't understand. And I remember I never really got into any physical altercations about it, because I was actually I was bigger in high school than I was now. I used to weigh 50 more pounds, and I used to work out all the time, because at this boot camp, there's nothing to do but work out. So I would just...
You were his protector.
You can't say that. Well, yeah, a little bit. But they were where are you Jewish? And I was no, that's not the point. It's
make fun of him for being an asshole. Don't bring Judaism into it.
Yeah.
I remember saying there are so many other valid points. Yeah, you could make fun of his hair. You could make fun of his there's so many other I don't know.
There were
Personality.
Yeah.
You could,
Can't you be more specific about why you don't like this guy? It can't be because he's Jewish.
Yeah, you're bringing the cause down, is what I would say.
So, we're, of course, a huge fan of Graham as a person and as a comedian. And I was doing a show with Graham over, I guess, the summertime at a park. And I heard him tell some jokes that had something to do with the Holocaust. And so I was like, oh, is Graham Jewish? And we were thinking about who to get a guest. I'm like, oh, we should get Graham. And Jordan's like, I don't know if Graham's Jewish. I'm like, I thought I heard him saying these jokes. So then I Googled Graham K. Jewish. And what comes up is an interview that you did where you're talking about the key ingredients to becoming a successful comedian, and the quote they have from you is, you have to know what it is to be on the outside looking in. I think that's why Jewish people dominate comedy.
Yeah. But Jewish people, Canadians, and African Americans disproportionately dominate American comedy.
Right, and that was the rest of his quote. And black people dominate, and why American comedy is dominated by Canadians.
Yeah, because you're an insider, but you're also an outsider. So you understand the culture, but you're not a part of it exactly. So you can reflect on it better because you're not in. You're not too close to the sun, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, that's very true.
I mean, that's
you're like a stranger almost in your own land.
Yes, and. Can I explain the Holocaust jokes?
No, please.
That's sort of just hanging out.
He's not just making mean Holocaust
jokes.
That just was... They weren't making light of the Holocaust, any of his jokes.
Hanging in the air. Just hanging. Well, we'll just leave it. Anyway, So my grandfather, my mother's father, he was in Prague, Czechoslovakia, in the beginning of World War II. So this is before America joined the war. America waited a few years before they wanted to help. So like 41, let's say, 1940 about. My grandfather had been for a few years partnered in a law firm with his best friend who happened to be Jewish. And Prague is a very big cosmopolitan city. And they used to, the Nazis took over Czechoslovakia, and it was just sort of given. Czechoslovakia was just sort of given as part of appeasement to Nazi Germany. One day, Jews are starting to disappear. There's rumors of what's going on, whatever. And one day they're both working. They used to work at this big oak desk. They used to share this giant desk, my grandfather and his best friend. And one day the SS kicks down the door, grabs his best friend, and as they're dragging him out, he says to my grandfather's name was Ladislas. He goes, Latsi, because that's like a nickname. He goes, Latsi, I don't know where they're taking me. Please take care of my family. And so my grandfather, he hid his family and gave them fake documents to help them, sort of live underground, basically. And then, other families, Jewish families, found out about that, and it's hard to say no when these people are going to die, obviously. So he did the same thing, and then he did the same thing again and again, and the net got wider and wider and wider until eventually he was found out. And then one day he was lying in bed with my grandmother at night, and in the middle of the night the door comes bursting open. The SS come in and they take my grandfather, and they take him to jail. Where they're going to take him to the SS jail, but the jail is full. So they take him to the local Prague police jail, and they slit the back of his neck because in the morning, they have to file paperwork.
They want to be able to find the right guy.
Well, they have to file paperwork when they murder somebody, I guess, back then. Well, because they're German, they're still all about efficiency. So they had to before they could do that, it was going to happen the next morning. So they slit the back of his neck, and they go in the morning we're going to come back and slit the front. And he's in the local Prague police jail. And my grandmother grabs all of her silverware, jewelry, and goes from every precinct jail she could find, everywhere she thinks he could be held. And she finally finds him, bribes the guards. Now, luckily, these are he didn't go to the SS jail. He went to the Prague police jail. These are cops before the war. So they're not Nazis. They're just cops. And so they like accept the bribe, and then they both go underground, and then they like, blow up telephone poles and all that kind of stuff. And then they flee to the south of France.
So even after getting arrested, he's still fighting against the SS.
Yeah. Well, they live underground and they're part of the movement. I don't know if he was actually setting bombs or blowing up telephone poles, but he was part of the resistance. And then after the war, what happened was he got a job with the Czechoslovak consulate in the south of France to be the head of the Czechoslovak consulate in Marseille, France. And then, so Czechoslovakia after the war was for a few years was a free democratic country. And then the communists took over, cut off his money, told him to come back, killed all of his, he was a huge nationalist. Like, he didn't want to be part of the Soviet Union. And all of his buddies who also were nationalists, they got killed. So he's like, I'm not coming back. And he was like a big patron of the arts in the south of France. He would I think he was gay. He would my grandma said that he would disappear for weeks at a time and just hang out with artists. And they only had one daughter, my mom. And anyway, the artists would pay him with art. So he had a Picasso ceramic bowl, and he sold that for a boat ride to Canada. And one of the first stops on the boat ride was New York Harbor. And my mother's earliest memory is being in New York Harbor with the snow coming down and the Statue of Liberty.
Right.
And she was born and raised in the south of France. And so she had never seen snow before. So she was like, "Regarde, maman, sucre, sucre, sugar, sugar." So, and that's the boat landed in Montreal, which is a great city. It would have been great for my grandfather. But he was like, "We got to go to the capital. That's where things are happening." Canada is the only country where nothing happens in the capital. And then they went there, and he was like, "This sucks." And there was no culture or anything. So he went to the Jewish neighborhood because it was the only place that had culture and foods he recognized and any sort of flamboyance of any sort,
That's amazing. What an incredible story. Your grandfather was like a hero.
Yeah, he was a cool guy. Well, my grandmother too.
Did you ever have any contact with people that he saved or family from people that he saved?
There was a family in Ottawa that was, Mrs. Cudlets. They were really reverential and would help my grandpa a lot. They were related to people that he saved, I guess.
Wow.
They knew about him.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is an amazing story.
Yeah, anyway. So the joke is that my genetic code goes all the way back to caveman times, and we kept surviving. I'm a comedian, and my brother has autism, so I think the family line ends here. And I explain all the things we kept surviving. We even beat Nazis, and I go through that whole story. I tell a very truncated story of that story I just told. And then I say it all ends here tonight in a nightclub or whatever. I was like, you don't have to run so fast, Grandpa. Didn't really matter in the end. I'm just a comedian. So. Yeah.
I feel like I want to trace the lineage of people that your grandfather saved and find a Jewish girl that is our age and set you up with her.
Ooh.
I feel like that would be a very cool Lifetime movie.
A hot Ashkenazi lady living in Slovakia somewhere. Yeah. Well, I'll take that.
Nice full circle moment.
Let me go to Graham. So, you're a hilarious comedian. Everybody likes you. I've never heard anybody say anything bad about Graham K.
That's nice.
That is true. I've yet to hear anybody say anything bad.
Right?
But and we like stirring the pot. What do you think about this?
We're a bunch of yentas, so I'd be like, you'll never. But there are a lot of Jews in comedy. Do you ever feel like you're hanging out with a bunch of Jewish comedians and you're not really part of something? You're an outsider, or just
no?
You're all comedians.
No,
everyone's nice.
No, I've always tried to explain. I've never had that feeling. Not with comedians anyway. And then even when I was hanging out with like a bunch of Jewish people that weren't comedians. Like I would get invited to like, I remember when I first moved to New York, this girl I knew through like a good friend of mine, Hannah Fehlberg from high school, set me up with her friend. Oh, you're also, this is how I'm connected to to Jordan is Sarah Lenore. And so she knew Sarah Lenore, and that's how I started living with Sarah Lenore, who I grew up with.
I went to Temple Youth Group with Sarah.
Hey.
Right. So I guess, Hannah knew Sarah through like somebody through one of your summer camps where you learn about how to take over the world with banks and media and whatnot, I guess. And
cabal camp is what we like to call it.
Yes. And swimming.
Hey, it can't all be world domination. It's hot. We need a refresh during the summer.
And anyway, so I lived with Sarah for a couple years, and then we would go to she would take me to during all like the high holidays, like all the dinners and everything.
Right.
And, or even like Thanksgiving, I would go to her like family house for Thanksgiving, and people were like, I would eat all those foods and whatever, and everyone was super nice, and it was no it's not like you're speaking in tongues that I don't understand.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so
have you ever had a bad experience with Jews?
I have never had a bad experience with Jews. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't get it. It's like the most adorable group of people. Is that is that racist to say?
No, I don't think so. I take it as a compliment. I mean, as a non-Jewish person, like, why? Like, do you have what's your opinion?
I think that there's there's Reform Jews. There's a big gap between like Reform Jews and Hasidic Jews in Williamsburg. It's a different religion basically. So I don't know. People are sometimes rude to me in that neighborhood, but they're just a tight knit cult group. So
Karl Marx, he was a big anti-Semite, and he actually used to call the very Orthodox Jews the Jewish N-words.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm glad none of them gave you COVID. Yeah. But they're not liked. We often talked about their total disregard for the way people perceive Jews and for other people that aren't Jews.
Let me ask you this. I wonder, having spent all those holidays with Sarah's family, do you have a favorite Jewish holiday? Is there one that stuck out to you as like, oh, I might do that on my own?
Let me think.
I don't know if any of us can do it on our own, but
yeah. I'm trying to think. I mean, I can't really remember that much. I think that there's desserts that I really liked that I was like, what is this? And I don't know.
So did you have do you have a favorite Jewish food?
Name me some Jewish foods. I know
multiple. Kind of like Eastern European stuff is kind of.
I don't like pickled herring. I think it's disgusting.
Yeah, me neither. Like potato,
potato
latkes, blintzes.
I love yes. I love latkes. I love potato latkes. I love them very much.
Very nice.
I like a knish. You know what? One of the great things about New York is getting a knish from a cart on the street. It's the only place in the world that I've ever been where you can get that. And it's delicious. And they give you like good mustard, not crappy yellow mustard. It's just it feels like
spicy, baby.
Yeah. It feels cultured. It's delicious. Also, there's not a lot of places outside. I've lived in a lot of cities, and it's hard to find a good matzo ball soup, and I know it is kind of like plain tasting, but it is very comforting and filling, and it's really, really good on a winter day. And if you live in a city without matzo ball soup at a diner, I feel sorry for you. Like Ottawa doesn't really have that. I don't think. I was hard to find. There's like one place in Toronto that had that. And it was called like the New York Diner. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like we know what that means. And
Jewish
and
food.
Then yeah.
And the prices.
Some Greek Jewish food made by a Greek man.
Yeah. And, I'm sure in Montreal you could probably get some good matzo ball soup.
Absolutely. In Montreal, Montreal, you for sure can get good Jewish food everywhere.
I'm a big fan of the matzo ball soup at Katz's Deli, personally.
It's really good. It's really good.
Delicious.
And their knishes are really good there.
Their knishes are good.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Jew? Fictional, biblical, someone in your life, anybody?
Oh man, I gotta. Oh boy. I'm just trying to think of like who are some famous Jews. Name me some Jews.
Who's a Jew that you like, Graham?
Well, that's not fair. Like, oh, who is my favorite Jew? I don't know. Name some and I'll tell you.
I honestly can't think of one Jewish person. I can't even. My mind's completely.
Mel Brooks.
Oh,
I mean, that's how you know that you're not.
Woody Allen.
You're like so devoid
Jerry
of
Seinfeld.
Graham is so devoid of anti-Semitism that he's not even like he doesn't even know who's Jewish. Like I don't know.
I know who's Jews. I just see Americans and Canadians now.
There's also what's interesting about a Jewish get together. Like when I was thinking about like trying to relate comedy to Judaism and whatnot, is like when I would go to these holidays, there'd be a lot of like shit talking each other, which I really, really liked. I really enjoyed it. Like friendly, talking shit.
Like
and
ball busting.
There's all ball busting. There's an emphasis on humor,
right,
which I think is so awesome, and which you know my I don't have any family on my mother's side, and on my dad's side is very like Scottish Canadian, and there's a lot of humor, but there's not very much ball busting, and like there's like one or two or three kind of funny people, and the rest are just like you know, it's just like, oh god. And it was just nice when I would go to these family gatherings, just to everybody has a black belt, you know, and it's really great.
Even Grandma's getting in on it.
Yeah. I don't know who my favorite Jew is. I love Jerry Seinfeld. People are like, oh, he's overrated or whatever. I love what he's done. I'm a rare person in that he was my favorite character on Seinfeld, because I liked that he was the son that everybody revolved around, and he was like the straight man, right?
Yeah.
All these crazy people, and then he was the one who was like, this is crazy, and like it wouldn't work without him, you know,
right?
Being the one normal person, and he's the only comedian, which is sort of how we view the world as comedians. It's like, we're normal, you guys are all crazy, but we're supposed to be the funny one, you know.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to plug, Graham?
What do I want to plug?
I mean, your album, Girlfriend Material.
Also, one of my favorite Jews is Julian Edelman. He's a football player, and just
Super Bowl.
Very impressive what he's done. You guys must love him just as like a famous athlete.
We definitely highlight all of the Jewish athletes.
There's Sandy Koufax.
Yeah.
Sandy Koufax. Who's the Hebrew Hammer? What was his name?
You mean the boxer?
The boxer?
No. He was a baseball player, and he was like a home run hitter, and they call him the Hebrew Hammer.
The Hebrew Hammer is like a movie, an Adam Goldberg movie where he's kind of like the Jewish Austin Powers or something.
Oh, really? Oh, they took that. Who's that Jewish? He's like of that generation. He's like he's like a Seth Rogen person, and he's like a Montreal Jewish guy, and he's like in all those movies.
That's something. Hank Greenberg. I said Hank Williams.
Yes, it's Hank Greenberg.
Hank Williams is a singer, right?
Yeah. Hank Williams is not Jewish,
but
the white country western singer. I was like,
a lot of white supremacists were like, "Holy fuck, we got to throw away our record collection."
Yeah, the Hebrew Hammer
drove off the side of the highway.
The Hebrew Hammer in baseball was Al Rosen, nicknamed Flip and the Hebrew Hammer. He played in the 40s and 50s. Al Rosen was the Hebrew Hammer. Albert Leonard Rosen.
I thought they called Hank Greenberg the Hebrew Hammer. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
They probably had lots of names for him behind his back.
Who was the boss? Yeah.
Well, Jesus was a carpenter, so sometimes they called him the Hebrew Hammer.
Right. Yes. Sometimes they do call him the Hebrew Hammer. I do.
Happy birthday, Hebrew Hammer.
Oh yeah. So plugging. I would love to. I have two things I'm going to plug. One, I'm going to plug. I have an autism awareness podcast. Like I said earlier, my brother has autism. It's called Autastic. And I do it with my co-host, Kirk Smith, who has a nonverbal son. And my brother is, I don't know, he's something. And so it's just like, what is it like to have, it's not to have a loved one in your family with autism and whatever. And then the other one is my Instagram. So it's I'm proud of it. Especially during these COVID times, I'm putting out a lot of hot content, folks. It's it's at Instagram. Get it? Instagram K. INSTAGRAHAMKAY. Instagram K.
I loved all the unboxing videos you did with the character.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thought that was always hysterical. So check out Autastic. Check out Instagram K. Graham, thanks so much for coming on and doing the show and sharing the story about your grandfather. It's really incredible.
Thank you so much. And can I say L'chaim?
Yeah.
L'chaim.
L'chaim. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Like, can I say L'chaim? No, you can't have that come out of your mouth. We don't want to hear that out of your Gentile lips.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Stop appropriating our cheers.
Yeah.
But you're staying in New York for the holidays and everything?
I'm gonna go on Monday. I'm gonna drive to Ottawa so I don't kill my parents. I got an Airbnb for a week. I'm gonna get tested before I go, and then I'm gonna go through a drive-through test on like the 4th day of my quarantine.
Oh, nice.
And and then not hug my parents for the first couple days I'm staying at their place. So hopefully I don't kill them.
Right.
I hope so too.
Well, cool. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you so much to Graham K for stopping by and chatting with us.
Big thanks to Graham K. Check him out on his social media. His Instagram is Instagram K.
Pretty easy to remember.
Hey, we hope you have a happy Hanukkah again. Check us out on social media at American Jew Podcast. Email us at americanjewpodcast@gmail.com. Of course, you can find me on all social media platforms at Jonathan Randall. And if you're not subscribing to our Patreon, just do it. You could just do $1 a month, and it'll make us feel better about ourselves. So that's a great mitzvah, and you should do it. And a gift for us for Hanukkah.
Yes, that's all we really want for Hanukkah, are people to join our Patreon page. You could also always follow me on Instagram at BeatnikNudnik, and you can follow my other podcast, Where's the Grief, across social media platforms as well. Thank you guys for listening. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. And also be sure to check out Graham K's album, Girlfriend Material.
Giddy up.